Okay, we're live. I am calling in Dr. Mindy Pelz, the May Book Nook author. Let me call her in right away here, and then we will get this chat going. Un momento. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Is invited. She's going to pop in here any minute. Oh, I see her coming. She's joined. All right, Mind, I called you in. Yay! Oh, it's always a relief when it goes smoothly.
What it is, right? It's like, is this really going to work?
Cortisol.
It's really funny how that is. I mean, I've done like 1,000 Instagram lives, and each time I'm like,
It's
I'm
so
here.
unknown.
I'm
It's
like,
so
I'm
unknown.
here. I'm here. Yeah, it's so fun. So fun.
Awesome. I'm so excited to see you. Very much looking forward to
Great.
diving into this conversation. Thank you so much for being our May Book Nook Author of the Month and coming into
Mm.
the community and sharing your knowledge with these incredible women.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I will tell you a couple of things. Like, I love that you are doing both books together
Yes.
because I really see them as a companion guide. That's how they were written. I look at Fast Like a Girl as the fasting window guide, and Eat Like a Girl, yeah, is the Eat Like a Girl guide, eating window guide. And even though there's overlap, they come together. So I love that you're doing both. And then, I was just, it's crazy to me that we're like 2.5 years out from Fast Like a Girl being published, and people are still like blown away by the results they're getting. So, at a time, I know you and I, our hearts really align with this, at a time where, people are turning towards medications now to lose weight. They don't, not everybody realizes that you don't have to spend 800 to $1,000 a month on weight loss drugs, that actually building this metabolic switch will do it for free without the side effects. So I'm just excited that the book is still grabbing people's hearts. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I think that, we're watching a really incredible movement of people realizing
hmm
that, I think there's a better way for health. And I think for so long, people thought it was so unattainable and so much work. And I think people are realizing, yes, there is like a little hurdle to get over, but it's all that first step, right? And once you take that first step, whether it's fasting instead of like the easy, quick solutions or any other change we're making in our life, it's so much more rewarding,
yep,
right? You feel
agreed.
so much
Yep.
clarity and you're empowered by getting through that. And it just builds on itself. I think that one first step is so powerful. And I'm so proud of what we're seeing out there is like people are
hmm
bravely taking that first step. And I think
mm
a lot of it
mm
is because of
mm
resources like your
mm
book, the
mm.
power of social media and getting this information out there. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I mean, I actually, we had brought your book in last May, ironically,
Oh, was
exactly
it?
a
Oh,
year ago.
wow. Well, you know what? By the way, do you know that like you and I have talked about this personally, but not publicly?
Mhm.
I think the two times that people are the most motivated to take care of their health are January, then right before summer, because everybody wants like the beach body,
Summer body.
which yeah, which this can absolutely help with.
hmm
And then we do see another trend at the end of September. But I love that we do it in May. Maybe we need to make it a May thing.
I know. Well, and what's interesting is, so when we did it last May, we only did Fast Like a Girl. So I really want to kind of like geek out on, the potential of doing these two together and what you think as the author, like what is the power in that? And kind of if you had a vision for, a woman maybe hearing, okay, I'm going to read two books at once. And like, we want to keep this super digestible, right?
hmm
So, I always suggest reading to my community, like a reading schedule. So, would you read one and then the other? Would you suggest kind of like, I kind of
Oh,
ping pong between
ooh,
the two.
yeah.
So, picking the
Oh,
author's brain, this is what's so cool when you get to
yeah,
actually hear from the author herself.
yeah.
How would you do it, Mint?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Well, okay, so Fast Like a Girl is like my baby, she's like our firstborn, and you put all this time and energy into the firstborn, and then the second ones come along, and you're like, okay, let me do a little, I might do this a little different. So if you want to learn fasting, the first section of Fast Like a Girl is really phenomenal. And I always tell people that chapter 2 in Fast Like a Girl, and you know this now as an author, when I went to go write Fast Like a Girl, I rewrote chapter 2 5 times.
The
And
healing power of fasting. I'm like,
yeah,
now look up.
yeah, and I had a beautiful editor who was just, I'll never forget, we spent a whole day on one sentence. And I was like, I was just like, but the reason I tell you that is it's such an easy, quick read because of the level of editing it got, the level of thought it got. So I really love Fast Like a Girl as a first starter. What I wasn't able to do in that book as well is there's one chapter on food. And it's still a great chapter, but there's one chapter. So, what I learned when Fast Like a Girl came out into the world was everybody got excited about fasting, but then the messages we got were like, well, I don't even know how to go back into my eating window now. Like, how do I go back there? And there was so much dysfunction around food. So the front matter, I think for people to remember that Eat Like a Girl is an amazing cookbook. And I hired two chefs, professional chefs, one that was plant-based, one that was omnivore. They did an incredible job. The recipes are restaurant, five-star restaurant quality. Um, but the front matter was addressing the food questions that people had. So I think we should if you want to start with one, start with Fast Like a Girl, but then you usually people had questions. And so that was why Eat Like a Girl was born.
Mm-hmm. And it's so beautiful. I mean, the pictures in there, the food.
Mm,
I'm so excited to dive in. I think I told you we're going to do a potluck in the community. We're having a virtual
love
potluck.
that.
So we're
Like, I
literally
love
going
it.
to like divvy up the recipes. It'll be so fun.
Do you want to
Um,
know? My favorite. I don't know if you picked the
I did.
recipe, but my absolute favorite one for meat, although there's so many, is the salmon furikake. It's like a salmon with a glaze on top, and Chef Jeff has worked in many Michelin star restaurants, and he nailed that one. In fact, so much, I don't know if I told you this story, that I was making the salmon because what you have to do is you have to put like a brine on top of it and then put it in the refrigerator.
Oh.
And and then you take it out of the refrigerator and you wipe off the brine and then you do a glaze. It's like, it makes salmon like candy. It is so good. Yeah, see, like somebody put in there. It was so yummy. But here's the funny thing is that I had it all ready to go the night before the LA fires. It was brining in my refrigerator and I was going to cook it the day of the fire. And for like 2 days afterwards, all I kept saying is, the salmon was brining in the refrigerator is like, oh my God, what that's going to smell like. And I was so worried about the brine in the salmon. So anyway, so I love that one. And then the kimchi edamame bowl that Chef Leslie did is like a hormone gift. It's got like soybeans and it's got kimchi. There's a bunch of bowls that she did. So those are my
Yeah.
two favorite if I get to pick.
I'm going to do the Buddha Bowl
Oh,
because isn't
oh
that
yeah.
what we made at that event, that
Yes.
fundraiser?
Yes.
And
The
so
Buddha bowl is good. Yeah.
it was literally that experience. So it was a fundraiser that, who organized that again? I forget the name.
It was the Women's Health Fund, Miami-Dade Women's Health Fund.
Yeah, so this is what was really cool. I mean, we got to make some of the recipes from this book. And what I took from that experience was, I don't know if this is everybody, but I look at a recipe book and I can get extremely overwhelmed, even though I love cooking. So to have someone like how you just did with those recipes, to have someone narrow them down and be like, these are really good, these are really easy, this is like your go-to salmon. I mean, I'm sure they're all incredible because of the
Mm-hmm.
chefs that I know that you hired.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find like in today's age with how busy all of us women are, for someone to just be like, here, I did it, it's easy, you can do it too,
Yeah.
is what I need. And then it's like, I've got 15 new foods that I can rotate because I'm so freaking sick of Taco Tuesdays.
Wait, you do Taco Tuesday in your house?
We do Taco Tuesday, we do Taco Friday, we do Taco
Yeah,
Sunday. Our kids
exactly.
like
Yeah.
tacos.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Oh my God. Like, perfect. The tuna and tomato salad is delicious too. I love it. I love hearing what people love about them.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it was interesting, and we'll talk about this in the Book Nook experience when I come on. I I spent a lot of time with my chefs before they were given, like go make the recipes. I had to teach. Well, Chef Leslie, she's a woman, so it was easy. I was like, here's how hormones work, but she had never been. What I loved about Chef Leslie is she said that she had identified there were like over 30,000 edible plants on our planet, and she was trying to figure out how to do a recipe with all of those. And I absolutely believe that the earth has provided hormonal medicine for women once we understand how plants work with our hormones. So Leslie like took that and went with Jeff. I was like, okay, what do you know about the menstrual cycle? And he was like this top, like Michelin star restaurant. Well, it turned out he had a background as a professional figure skater, pairs figure skater. And he's like, oh, I know a ton about it because I always had to be careful of our training pattern. For my partner, we did more recovery the week before her period. I was like, because
Oh,
he was literally not, he never made the Olympics, but he was an alternate. He was an alternate, and then he never got called. So anyway, so it was really fun. There was a lot of prep that went into it, but everything was through the lens of a woman's body, and it was really neat. It was a neat experience.
this is what I find, this is part of why I was so excited to do this IG live. And I know you're constantly, on your you're constantly out there on social media and serving your community. And I just think there's something so incredibly special about bringing in the authors that wrote these books. Like
Mhm.
now, when I'm reading like a girl and I'm reading about that chef, like I know something,
Yep.
I have a personal attachment to a story. It is a completely different experience. Do you
Yep.
find that? I
Oh
know
yeah.
we could like talk a
Well,
little bit about
so
it.
yeah, so I don't know if I told you I went to hear Isabel Allende speak this Sunday, and I loved her books. It was so interesting to hear her talk about, like, somebody asked her what was the through line of all of her books, and she explained it. And I was like, oh, yeah, 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 I saw that through line.
Mm.
People asked, how did she come up with the stories for her books? And I was like, oh my God, I can totally see that in her reading. A little bit like when we saw Malcolm Gladwell in Miami, like to sit and hear his process and how he created the book gives you a different, more intimate experience with the book, which is why I love your Book Nook idea. I love what you're doing. You're creating this beautiful container for people to learn, and then you're bringing the author in to talk about it. I really think more people should know about this because how many? I mean, I've got stacks and stacks and stacks of books, just like you.
Mhm.
I love your backdrop, by the way. And the books that I feel like I have been along the journey with the author, or I have some kind of intimate, like I can take those teachings and I can really move them into action in a deeper way, which is why we even write health books. We don't write it for ego or money. We write it because we have an idea that we know is going to help people, and to be able to marinate in the author's thought process is just so beautiful. So I love what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think it makes it so much more intimate. And now, I can say from an author's perspective, which is really cool, but
Yeah.
it's writing a book is a journey. It's a journey. It's a complete crack open of your
Oh,
soul. It is vulnerable. It
yeah.
is you go into the depths, whether you want to compare it to like plant medicine journey or a soul retrieval journey, like it is all of that.
It's a
And
spiritual
so it's
experience.
a
It is
spiritual
definitely,
experience. That's a
yeah.
really good way to say it. So like to sit in conversation, I was always drawn to the authors and I wanted to pull them into these conversations in the Book Nook. And now it's like I have a whole other lens on that. Like to read, to like have conversations about the person whose tears are on the pages that they wrote.
Ooh,
Like
ooh, that was well said.
thank you. Like to understand the stories behind the scars. I love our friend Nancy's quote. She says, right from the scar, not the wound.
Mhm,
Like these people have walked through the fire and come out on the other side, and they are
mhm.
literally, it's like their scars become our roadmap.
Yeah,
And so to
yeah,
hear the stories behind that is
yeah.
what's so interesting.
You know what? You bring up such a good point, and I think what people who receive information from, I mean, I don't know another way to say, but like health influencers or people who are putting out content, what we don't realize is that there's a big difference in how we put out content. So I always tell my audience there's short form and there's long form. Short form is a little bit what we're doing right now. Like you're getting a little snippet of who we are and like why we do things. Reels, or you get a little highlight of like what, a concept, but it's like an appetizer. It's just like a little bit. Long format is like you're listening to an hour long podcast, or you're reading a book. But what most people don't realize about a book is that unlike this moment, I say something, I can't retract it. I just say it where it feels in my heart. But on a book, I can sit by myself with a concept and I can dive into my soul and say, what is it I really want the reader to understand? And
Mhm.
then all the edits that come back, you get to look at your lines and you get to say, oh, no, that wasn't exactly what I meant. I'll give you an example. In Age Like a Girl, that will come out in December, I have a line in there that I really love. It's in the editing process, and I'm like really hoping that it doesn't get edited out. And we're going to have 1 billion women worldwide in menopause by 2030. And I was like, imagine 1 billion women empowered. What would that world look
Mm,
like? And it just came out of my head, and I was like, amazing.
mhm,
So, and then in Fast Like a Girl, I had a line that came out of my head that I was like, estrogen and progesterone are like twin sisters. They look the same, they act the same, but they have vastly different personalities. So I know you resonate with this because when you sit with words that you can change around and edit, by the time the book comes out, it is the most thoughtful version of us you will ever get, which is why I want everybody reading
mm.
books.
I love that. That's so well said. I mean, you know, we've talked about this before. Like, I'm on a mission to have a book in every woman's hand because if we can swap 2 minutes, because we all got full lives of the
Mm-hmm.
scroll that
Scroll,
we just
scroll.
get sucked into in these micro
Mm-hmm.
moments, and we keep saying we have no time. The truth
Mm-hmm.
is we have time, we just don't know how to get intentional and effective with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can swap 2 minutes and put a freaking book in our hand
Yeah.
and instead fill our souls for 2 minutes of what you just talked about,
Yeah.
like all that beautiful information, that journey that the author went through to put each word on the page.
Yeah.
Think about if you did that for 2 minutes, 4 days
Yeah.
a week. Like, where would you be in a year? Because the reality is you can read a book in a month
Yeah.
if you just did that. Like,
Yeah.
aren't we all capable of that?
Yeah.
And if you took one thing from each of those books and you read 12 a month, like, where would your life be in 6 months from now, in a year from now?
Yeah.
I think so many times, I wonder if you see this in your communities, like, it's like we try to soak it all in and take it all and we end up doing nothing. Like, pick one thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Or fill your mind. By the way, hello, Victoria. I see you. She just popped on. Um, the one thing that I've been doing, and we'll talk about this in the Book Nook, is that and this has been so well with your brainwave thing that I can't wait to get out there. But when you come out of sleep and you go from a theta brainwave state into what we're doing right now is a beta brainwave state. In between that is alpha and theta. And that's where you change your programming. So, what I do every morning is I get up, I make my coffee, and I sit down and I pick up one of my books. And it's like, and I ask myself, what do I want in my mind today? And so I pick it up, I read a chapter. I've been deep in my Pema Chodron teachings lately. But if you want to change the way that you think, you are absolutely right. It does not take a long time, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but do it at prime time when your brain can take it in. I'm sure like your book's going to be amazing for that when it comes up.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to teach all about that in that because I love those because I think again, like I love speaking to the woman who has a full life because I think that's in reality, that's all of us, right? And
Hmm.
so how can we get twice the positive impact in half the time? And
Hmm.
that's the time to do it. Theta and alpha,
Yeah.
we're super programmable.
Yeah.
So that can work
Yeah.
for us or that can work against us. We're super
Yeah.
programmable. If we start with the news and social media, like that's not great for our nervous system.
Yeah. Yeah. And somebody put in here that it's hard to do because they do the escape scroll. I think that is you bring up a really interesting point. And I just want to say, I've gone through that myself where I'm like, you wake up and you're like, oh, what's the world doing today? But I have learned that the most important thing I can do is guard my brain. And in that really tender early hour morning, I actually ask myself, who do I want to think like? Do I want to think like the people on Instagram or do I want to think like Pema Chodron? Like or whatever you're reading. And I think it's really important at a time when our brain is being hijacked by media, by fear, by social media, that especially as women that we protect what we're holding on to. So sometimes to avoid the escape scroll, just tell yourself the first 10 minutes of the day you're not turning your phone on. Like I put my phone on airplane mode at night, and I have to do my book time and my reading time before I turn that sucker on. And it's discipline. It takes discipline, but it's really important.
Yeah, I love that. I would add to that, I think what are we escaping from? And I think the theta alpha time is a really powerful time to ask yourself those questions.
Hmm.
And if it's not a book at that time, a journal
Yep.
and a simple call and response. I mean, I think so many of us women have been or are afraid of the darkness and the shadows. And we're afraid to go there. And the reality is, we both have been there. The reality is it doesn't have to be that scary. It's
Hmm.
literally, I visualize like it's a conversation with
Shirley
ego.
Pimples.
Why is she saying that?
It's a joke between Bev and I. Bev, I see you. Okay.
Anyway, it's a
Um,
conversation between like ego, like the voice in our head that's saying all the horrible things, and our true
mhm,
self or our whole self.
mhm,
And when we
mhm,
provide space for it, like it isn't always as scary or as big as we make it out to be. And more importantly, on the other side of that is so much clarity and lightness.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's willingness to like take that first step and just go in. And that's where I think community and friendships are so important, whether it's like an audio voice note, like, hey, I'm going to sit with myself tomorrow morning. I'm going to do something scary. I'm going to actually journal instead of escaping and scrolling.
Hmm.
Can I leave you an audio?
Yeah.
Like, can I call you if I have a rough time or day? And,
Hmm.
this is the power of community, and a lot of people don't have it. And so
Yeah.
we're creating it virtually.
Yeah.
I think we all need it in person, but like when we can at least get back to who we are and stop having these masks and living our lives through escape or through distraction, that we all have been there. Like
Hmm.
that's where we get back into alignment and our community finds us, and we all deserve to have that in our lives.
It's interesting. I was thinking while you were speaking, I just turned in age like a girl. And so I have all this research in my head. But one of the things I learned about how the female brain works is that we have more oxytocin receptor sites in our amygdala. And our amygdala is our fear center. And so we are actually neurochemically programmed for connection. And our fear centers are calmed and soothed because whenever estrogen came in and peaked, especially during ovulation, she amplified oxytocin. So we as women really need to be putting ourselves in these oxytocin rich environments. And when you look at, okay, I'm alone reading a book at my own house. Yeah, I mean, you're filling yourself up. We're talking about the morning time. But what you're doing with this Book Nook experience is that you're actually bringing oxytocin to the conversation. And what we know about oxytocin is when she's at her peak, she calms cortisol. So we are in a stress-ridden world right now. And just, I mean, to back to the woman who's like she does the escape scroll. I don't know about you, but I'm unable to go to Instagram without some level of cortisol spike or some level of FOMO that kicks in that brings the cortisol up. So I'm very aware that what I'm doing is a cortisol moment. So when we are together in community learning, we are and bringing oxytocin, we bring cortisol down. And when we bring cortisol down, we now become more insulin sensitive. And when we're more insulin sensitive, now we can balance our hormones, our sex hormones. So everything we need to do as women needs to be done through community and connection. So I know, and I know you're writing up, you wrote about this, but this Book Nook thing, I have continued to tell you this, not because you're one of my favorite humans, but I continue to tell you this, that it's such a powerful idea of bringing people together in a learning environment, but doing it with health books. Most people do book clubs with fiction books, but you're doing this with nonfiction books. I can't think of a better way to get this information in. So I just want to point that out
Yeah.
because from a neurochemical lens, it makes perfect sense to me.
It does. And we both have our nervous system lens as
Yeah.
chiropractors. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And the really interesting thing is the conversations have taken on a life of themselves within this community.
Hmm.
And
I
yes,
bet. I
we're talking
bet.
about the concepts in the books, but we are talking about more like what Alicia was saying, like
Mm,
being super vulnerable and honest and showing up and saying, I go to escape in the morning. First of
mhm.
all, good for you, Alicia, for being brave enough to say that.
Yeah.
Because you know how many
Call
women are
yourself
out there
out.
doing that, but like afraid to say that they're doing it. Those are the conversations that we're having together. Because it's
Hmm.
like, help me get out of this, or meet me there and be like, me too. Like, how do
Yeah.
we switch this? Those are the beautiful conversations we're having in community, creating connection, boosting oxytocin.
I was thinking, I bet, because you've done Fast Like a Girl last year, I bet you got a lot of people that were in a safe, small environment were like, oh, I'm struggling with these concepts. And then you bring up a good point. I've been such a fan of women putting our armors down and showing our vulnerability because that's where we heal. But it is interesting when you're doing health books, there's an ability to say, well, I read that and I'm nervous about it. I don't know how to implement it, which is then you bring the author in and now they get to have that experience. But you're also in a safe community where you can say that. Because how many times have we picked up a book and been like, oh, I don't really know how to do that. And then we put it down. And that's harsh because maybe the principle in there was something that would help you, but you didn't have someone to bounce it off of. I just thought about that now. It's such a great idea.
Yeah. And I think also how many of us don't have like a safe place to have these conversations.
Yeah.
I think many of us, at least I was, I mean, remember back in the day, I would literally Voxer you. I'm so lonely. I'm surrounded by people. I'm so lonely where
Hmm.
I'm at in my physical life right now.
Yeah.
I had my work family. I had my family raising my children. I didn't have those women to go sit with. I had them when I traveled and met you guys all over the
Yeah.
country. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us women don't have that today. And so that's what this community is. It's like until you can find your sisters in your neighborhood, have them here. It's a safe
Yeah.
place.
Well said. Well said. I
So
love that.
important. And, you said one thing I want to just touch on. I know we got to wrap here, but also, when you're coming into the conversation, Mindy, like you were saying, conversations online, Instagram, short form, it's like meeting someone at your front door, right? I think you gave me this analogy one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
we
You and I
have
have.
the conversations with the authors in the private community, it's like we're sitting on the couch together.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
It's great. We're
Yeah.
creating the vibe of a book club as if we're all here in the
I
same
love
room.
it.
Like this isn't like stark black and white. Let's talk through all the principles. Yes, very important. Let's give the
Yeah.
support. But it's like real life women shit
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah. Right. Like, let's be real. Let's put down the mask and let's just be real. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Agreed. Agreed. I love it. I just love what you're up to, and I'm excited to come to your community. And anybody listening that is in my world, please join this book nook because it's really cool what you've done. Because I just feel like we do it with fiction, everybody, a lot of people, especially in the summertime, have their little book clubs, but we don't seem to do it with nonfiction. And then also just being able to bring the whole world together because we aren't always in one spot. So thank you for that.
Love it. Man, thanks for coming in. Have a
Love
beautiful
you.
day. Everybody can come at Book Nook. We'll send them all the info and we'll see you on your call in June.
Excellent. Thank you, Fred. Love you.
Thanks. All right. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Love you.